What is up, guys? It is Patrick back on a Veterans View. And I took a few months off from making my military related videos and just kind of wanted to reevaluate kind of where I wanted the channel to go and kind of what I wanted to do with it. And I think I've figured out exactly which route I want to go. So I kind of wanted to look at 2020 as a whole and go through a lot of the positives of 2020 and a lot of the negatives, and just kind of lay out how 2020 was for myself and my family, but then also kind of be able to kind of do this at the end of the year, and then going into 2021. I want to regularly post videos on, if not daily, every other day, just kind of talking about incremental changes that are being made, financial decisions that are being made, family decisions that are being made, decisions with kids, decisions with your health. And that's kind of where I think I kind of want this channel to go. I think it'd be really good to have this constructive dialogue and be able to kind of build this sense of community around the challenges we faced in 2020, a lot of the pros that, happened in 2020 for us, and be able to kind of discuss those. Along the way, I'm also going to be doing live streams to make sure that I'm getting that engagement with my audience and that we can kind of hold each other accountable. If we set goals for ourselves in 2020, when my family sets goals, I'm going to be making a video. And in my live streams, I would love it for kind of everybody involved and supporting the channel, to not only hold me accountable to my goals, and I'll be completely 100% honest with exactly what's going on, and hopefully you guys will kind of be able to do the same, and we can kind of talk about these issues more and talk about the goods that we're doing. I think one big thing I've noticed in 2020, at least from a lot of the parents I've talked to, is it seems like once you become an adult, have kids, or get married, have kids, kind of get yourself rooted in a good career, we don't a lot of times stop and kind of look at the goods that are going on in our lives. A lot of times we want to focus on the tiny little details. We want to focus on, one little issue could ruin our whole day. And I think if anything, 2020 could be a year where we can look back and say, you know what, a lot of bad happened. A lot of people died, unfortunately, due to the pandemic. A lot of people are out jobs, like myself. A lot of people gained weight, lost weight, spent more time with their family or potentially less time with their family. And I think we just kind of need to stop and kind of, take that break and look at what we do have and what we did do positively. I'm sorry to repeat myself. So for my first video, which is this one, what I wanted to talk about is kind of how 2020 started for myself and my family. So we live out here in the greater Sacramento area in California, and I was working for a large defense contractor at my local Air Force base, and we were doing pretty well. In terms of financial data, I was making $9,953.46 per month. Now, that was not my take home. That was my salary from my employer and my disability from the VA. Out of that $9,953.46, I actually took home $7,815.19. So in terms of financial goals, this is how my wife and I kind of spent our money. Just like everybody else, our rent, utilities, phone bill, food, gas, car insurance, activities for the kids. But pretty much out of that $7,815, we were saving about $1,100 per month. Our goal at that point was, for Christmas, we wanted to be able to take our kids to Disney World. Neither my wife or I had ever been. The kids hadn't been. We've taken them to Disneyland a couple times, but never Disney World. So that was our goal. That's what we were saving for. So that was our finances. In terms of our health, we were all doing well. My wife and I at that time were still doing keto together. We were both losing weight. I had a great schedule with my job. We had to do, it was shift work, so we had rotating shifts, 4 10-hour shifts per week. But I had 3 guaranteed days off each week. And all of that kind of came, and met up when the pandemic started. So just kind of some more things that I'll touch on with the pandemic. I started working from home. As a result of me working from home, I started eating unhealthy, very unhealthy, and I gained 30 pounds. I had a hard time adjusting to being home all the time. Not that necessarily anybody in the house was doing anything wrong, but I wasn't accustomed to it. I wasn't accustomed to being around the kids all day, every day. I wasn't accustomed to being around my wife all day, every day. And I don't mean that in a, to sound negative or bad or mean or cold-hearted, but I just wasn't accustomed to it. And it definitely took me a while to adapt. Kids' school and sports. So our kids, we homeschool them, and we always have. We just feel we can provide a better education than what the public schools offer. We've got many friends who are in public schools. We don't knock public schools. This is just a decision we had always made for our kids, and because of my career, we were always blessed to do that. So with the kids' schooling, so even though they were homeschooled, they did take some like homeschool classes, but it wasn't traditional classes that you would find at a normal school. So they took, stuff like, there was this outdoor school we took them to where kids could do like blacksmithing classes and gardening classes and just a lot of interacting with the environment. It was very hands-off in terms of textbooks, but it was very hands-on in terms of, getting into the nitty-gritty and working with your hands to get something done. And the kids loved it, and we loved it for them. In terms of their sports, all my kiddos play soccer, and their sports almost immediately got canceled. So that was definitely rough. And there were some conversations that, we had, especially with our oldest daughter, who's 9, where she was struggling. She was having a rough time not being able to go to soccer, not being able to see her friends. And she voiced that to us, and it was causing like anger and hurt and pain within her that, she didn't understand. Mommy, Daddy, you always tell me that playing outside and getting exercise and getting our energy out and being with our friends, like, those are good, healthy things. Why can't we do those anymore? And that was hard to hear. And I'm sure many of you have heard that from your kids as well, or had them voice that to you. So for me, being in the Army, I got PTSD, and one of the major things in terms of me staying home was the noise in the house. Not that the kids were necessarily doing anything wrong, but we have 3 young daughters, very loud, very silly, and the noise was getting to me really, really bad. Um, I was noticing that I was on edge a lot. Um, I would get like angry for absolutely no reason. Nobody did anything at all. It was just noise from here, noise from there, noise from there, and my brain just couldn't handle it. And once again, I think that goes back to, I was used to going to work in this kind of quiet, calm environment, and it just took some getting used to. Um, One of the other things with me working from home was I also started sleeping a lot. I was sleeping a lot more than I normally ever did. Um, Normally, I was, the guy that'd go to bed at 3 and wake up at 7, and I was fine the entire day. And with the additional sleeping, a lot of depression set in. Um, and I just started to notice that my not only my physical health but my mental health was definitely going downhill. And we tried throughout this. We tried to take the view of, hey, you know what? We're going to be able to do more family things. We're going to be able to have more family time. And we started looking at, okay, sports are closed. Right around this time frame was when California went full, stay-at-home order. Everything closed. Food was pickup or delivery only. You could only go from here to there. You had to. I mean, my work even took it to the point of giving us all these little passes that we kept in our car, so that if we were pulled over on our way to work, we could show, Highway Patrol or the Sheriff's Department that we had a specific reason that we needed to be traveling at that time. So what we started to look at, with, and this was getting, around summertime, we started to look at, water parks. And our local water park here, which is called Sunsplash, they were still open. And even though they were facing from the state a potential fine every day that they were open, they chose to remain open. So went to the water park a couple times, and that didn't really suit what what we needed. So we started to kind of look elsewhere, and we'd always wanted to go to Great Wolf Lodge. So we started looking at Great Wolf Lodge, and at this point, all theme parks and stuff were closed in California. So we ended up taking a road trip up to Washington, and we went to the Great Wolf Lodge up there. Had a blast. We were up there, I think, 4 or 5 days, and had a blast. It was nice to get out. Washington had not fully implemented any of their orders yet, kind of to the extent that California had, and it was a blast. Alright guys, so I didn't realize the first video was as long as it was. So I'm going to go ahead and make it a two-part. So the first part, which is this video, pretty much covers January of 2020 up until about June of 2020. And then the second video, or part 2, is going to pick up with my job loss and go through the end of the year. Since I'm still kind of testing the waters here and trying to feel this out, any comments, if you feel comfortable sharing your experience or kind of what you've been going through, definitely let me know. I'm going to be reading and responding to all of them. If you like the video, please hit the like button and definitely subscribe. Let's show YouTube that, this is something people are interested in and that, people want to talk about. With that, we'll see you guys part 2.